I love you. Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. There's plenty of room. Happy to see you. As always, come and join us. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. This is a podcast about movies and about movies and TV called Green and Faceless on the Couch. And we are here again with the potato pick. So if you don't
realized also that my microphone's going to be hitting my necklace, so I'm sorry on your end. That's going to be annoying.
Okay.
Not to the couch potatoes. They won't. It's a different microphone that they're hearing. But for you, I just realized. I'm sorry.
We are sitting next to each other with
on a big old couch.
Yeah, on a big old couch with noise canceling headphones and microphones just for that, just so we can hear each other. Yeah. Okay.
But it's a potato pick.
It's a potato pick. And we have a new patron with a suggestion.
Yeah. Yes. Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
His name is Brad. Thank you, Brad. Not my dad. Maybe my dad. Be my dad? Brad.
Meet my dad, Brad. Thank you, Meet My Dad, Brad. This is your first suggestion that has won the potato pick. And thank you so much for your support. You are I
will say
also a very new patron, so thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We always appreciate more patrons. Get out there, tell your friends, tell your family. Even if you just want to have better chances of your ideas winning the potato pick like this,
right?
You can just sign people up.
Right.
I'm not saying that you should do it, but you should do it.
Okay. So
get a clipboard, go out to the streets, and just ask people for their email addresses, and then just
if we haven't made it obvious, this is a patron inspired episode from patreon.com/green and faceless. So if you do want to join up and support the show, that's where you can join us. And at a certain level you can make suggestions, and then we vote on it publicly, and this is what was voted on for this month.
If you want to vote on it, yes, you do have to put your email address. You do have to kind of sign into the thing, but you don't have to pay us.
No, that's public.
The voting is perfectly free. You just have to give Patreon your email address, which it's still not a bad thing. There might be other shit out there that you want to patronize.
Yeah.
Or patronize.
If you take part in art, it is worth considering patronizing the artists. And this is coming from me as, not just as an artist, but somebody who would love to be able to patronize, other artists. But I frankly don't make enough to do so. Besides occasionally buying an art piece. I do buy art sometimes.
I do, yeah. I do love local art. Pretty much everybody in my life who is an artist, I will buy your art. Just let me know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And if you just have art that you deem ugly that you don't want, I'm sure I could either put it in my home or find a home for it. So
that's wonderful. Okay. So,
but yeah, Brad has suggested some war movies today. We have a genre Smackdown.
I was thinking about it. I don't think we've done a war movie before. And that
we have. We've done God, I can't remember what it was, but I mean there's gotta have been something.
I don't know that we did have. I mean, unless it's a sci-fi war movie, I cannot think of anything. I'm pretty sure we watched 1912 before this show.
That is true. Yeah, we did do that.
And that's the last one I kind of remember seeing with you.
Have we not talked I guess we didn't do Saving Private Ryan.
No. I think these are the first war movies we have done, and that kind of surprises me because it's a pretty
big genre.
It's a pretty big genre with some really rich and historically interesting stories. So
they're just depressing, man.
They can be depressing. Yes, it's about people killing each other. That's true.
War is hell.
War is hell, but I do think a good war... I don't like it when it's like, necessarily glorifying war, but...
Right.
There is some very interesting narratives in our history as the human race.
And I feel like these two movies do a decent job, like, because we're talking The Bridge on the River Kwai.
Right.
Which is an epic.
I will say one does a very good job.
Well, that's the thing, is Bridge on the River Kwai, the war is very much there. It's very present. It's not glorifying it. It's showing you a lot of the horrors of it. And then in the other movie we're talking today, Kelly's Heroes, which we'll start with, Kelly's Heroes, though, the war is kind of in the background. It's there.
Yeah.
It's very much there, and it is an obstacle to be overcome, but it's not being glorified. It's not, specific.
Not, but I feel like, and we'll get more into it, I feel like Eastwood and his crew are a little bit glorified mercenaries.
Oh, yeah.
So they kind of are not glorifying the action and adventure aspect of war. Yeah. It's like I was talking to my dad about this. Dad, not Brad. Dad. He is. We were talking a lot about heist films, and the reason he suggested these movies, is he likes he likes Clint Eastwood's earlier stuff. Sure.
He likes some of his later stuff too. Like, there's some really good roles that he's done, in the modern day. But like his older stuff is, great. Dirty Harry, Kelly, like all of these. He played a lot of like war hero kind of or silent hero.
Well, and then
like the good, the bad, and the ugly
Western movies. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He was always the man with no name. He did that great. But like he liked this heist film because it was a heist film before like Ocean's 11 and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
It was a fun little heist set in a war. No women involved. It's all the boys down in the yard.
It is. I will say that it was interesting. I'd never actually seen a heist movie in a war setting before. So for that,
right? Yeah, it was good. Good call.
Yeah. So let's jump in to Kelly's Heroes then with our synopsis.
Yeah, I'll try here.
Okay.
You start off with Kelly, played by Clint Eastwood. Mm-hmm. He's behind, German lines. I can't remember. They're in France.
Yeah.
But it's German-occupied France at the time.
Right. They go behind enemy lines after... Well, actually, it does start up behind enemy lines, doesn't it? Because... they're in this.
He's behind enemy lines. He's already captured this German,
this Nazi. We can
commander,
say Nazi.
Whatever. Yeah. We can't say Nazi. You're right. Yeah, they already captured this Nazi commander, who I think is like. I feel like I saw I was researching his role a lot because he looked very familiar. His name is Colonel Dummkopf or Dummkopf, played by David Hurst. And he has such a familiar looking face, but I don't recognize him.
David. I know the name David Hurst for some reason.
Right. It seems like it's a name I should recognize, but I was looking through his filmography. I'm like, no, I don't. Nothing jumps out as being like very obviously like, oh yes, I would remember him. Like it says he's in Hello Dolly. I know I've seen Hello Dolly. I don't remember anybody in that movie. Boys from Brazil. Again, I know I've seen Boys from the Brazil. I can't tell you who's in Real Boys from Brazil. I just know it's about, Brazilian Hitler.
Maybe maybe it's just like a name that our parents know or something.
David Hurst.
Yeah.
He's Nazi guy. That's what it seems like. He seems like he's Nazi guy. But yeah, here, Clint Eastwood's captured him, drives his Jeep out. I surprised you because I told you before we watched this that... my dad watched this movie a lot.
Yeah.
Me and my brother and I had to watch a lot of war movies with this man. And one of them was Kelly's Heroes. And not to be confused with Hogan's Heroes. Jesus. Too many heroes in World War II. But Kelly's Heroes, it has this very iconic song that I knew word from word once it started playing, and you were just like, wow, you really do know this song or this movie, don't you? And I was like, yeah, we watched this quite a lot. I can't remember the title of the song. I'm trying to find it.
Oh yeah, you knew it though right away.
Burning Bridges.
Oh, okay.
Burning Bridges by Mike Curb Congregation. That song started. I sang it all the way through. It's very well, not all the way through. I don't know the third. Whatever.
There was one part where you're like, yeah, I don't know this part.
I don't know this part. But yeah, anyways, Clint brings David Hurst back to his area where all of his people are at. Telly Savalas is the commander in charge, Big Joe. Yeah. Telly Savalas, we've talked about, as you reminded me, he was the George Lazenby Blofeld
yes.
For the James Bond movie. It was kind of funny because I was just like, man, I know Telly Savalas or something. And then like his helmet came off and you were just like, oh yeah, he's the George Lazenby one. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he is Blofeld. Yeah. But yeah, Big Joe, I don't know why they brought the commander back. Clint Eastwood had a reason for it. And his reason was he knew that there was gold being held somewhere behind enemy lines.
Yeah,
and he wanted to steal it.
I thought that he kind of discovered that with the Dankoff guy on accident. Like, yeah, he found this lead bar and found out that it was just kind of the lead was just kind of painted on, and it was a golden bar. And so he got Dankoff to tell him where the bank was, where and how much. It's gold. Like, it's like $14 million worth of gold or something like that.
Yeah. Millions of dollars of gold stashed away in a French bank by the Germans.
Yeah.
And Clint Eastwood's like, yeah, I want to get that. And it's really hard to know with Clint Eastwood's acting whether at the beginning it was an accident. Because it's like, I could never tell. I've seen this movie a lot. I don't know if he went behind enemy lines to grab that guy because he knew he had this knowledge, or if it was a complete coincidence. I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
It's hard to tell with Clint's acting. Like, the man, he's not a good actor, I'll be honest, guys. He's not.
He's a very stoic actor.
He's a gifted. He has talent. I will say that he has talent in acting. He has talent in directing. He's not great at either of them. Okay. Hot take, I know. Come at me, Scott. Please, Scott Eastwood, come at me. God damn.
just because you want to see Scott?
No, I would love to see Scott Eastwood. That man's handsome.
Yeah,
he looks like Clint, but when Clint was good looking. And hadn't talked to an empty chair at the Republican National Convention.
Oh, no.
God, that's a shining moment. Clint Eastwood's greatest moments in life. Good, the bad, and the ugly. Talking to an empty chair at the RNC. Like, oh my God. It heads above the best thing he's ever done. It's so
maybe
funny.
He was rehearsing. You know?
Maybe he had a plan. Nobody understood it, though. No, yeah. It just seemed like a man was having a stroke on stage. But Clint finally talks pretty much everybody in this troop, division, whatever you want them to be called, to come along with him behind enemy lines to steal some gold.
Right.
And some of the important members of that troop, you got Don Rickles, very big one, playing Crap Game, probably the funniest person in this movie.
That is true, but he doesn't get to be super funny. Like, Don Rickles is so fucking funny.
Right. And he does have that one joke, though. Like, I can't remember what it was, but there's that one scene where he's in the office on the phone.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, hanging up the phone. You and I were laughing a lot at that scene.
Yeah. Yeah. He said, I think he picked up the phone and he's like, I think it was something like, you haven't even heard what I have to say yet. It was like, what do you mean, no? You haven't even heard what I have to say.
That's right. It's good stuff because it's just like my family, my brother and I, we were raised on MASH, the television show MASH.
Sure.
And even the movie MASH with different actors, which
is very funny.
One of them we'll talk about
most of the time.
Yeah, it is very funny. And there's a lot of humor in MASH of like Radar Klinger being on the
the radio.
the comm, the the radio. Thank you. And like arguing back and forth with people over the radio who they're friends with because they they radio each other all the time because they have to. But it's just like there's a lot of good humor made over the radio, and I feel like Don Rickles just nailed all of that in one scene. It was so good. Like I don't remember the scene. I remember the beginning of this movie. I remember the ending of this movie. Everything in between is just muddled garbage. Like
it was.
But speaking of MASH,
it was so well timed that like that one joke that he had that I felt like it had to be an ad lib that they decided to keep because that's what Don Rickles' humor is just. Riffing and ripping you up. In the nicest way possible.
And it's kind of weird because, like, if I had looked back on this movie and thought, like, who was the funniest part of this movie, I would have said Donald Sutherland as Oddball. Who I'll come to next. But it really is just Don Rickles. Like, Don Rickles nailed this fucking role.
Right.
But speaking of MASH, Donald Sutherland played Hawkeye in the movie MASH. He plays Oddball here. As a kid, I died laughing at Oddball. Like, he was funny to me. As an adult, I don't get it. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, there's moments where it's funny.
They say that he's into the beatnik culture, but like, he definitely feels like he's drawing whatever it is from the 1960s, subculture. And I'm like,
he feels like an anachronism.
What is going on? Yeah, it's like this. I feel like this character didn't exist in this setting.
Well, he's an oddball. He's ahead of his time.
He is an oddball. Like he says, stop sending out those negative waves, man.
I'm using that though. I'm running with that for the rest of my life. Like that was good. Like, get out of here with those negative vibes.
But he said waves.
Here's my dog impression. Woof, woof.
Woof, woof. Oh yeah, and like he's always making way much. Like he has his own group of people, and he's always making way too much noise all the time.
Always.
Like a fucking parade whenever these guys come through.
Yeah.
And he is a very
he's driving his
character.
giant ass tank.
Yeah. He is. Oh yeah, and they put like a metal tube around the cannon of it to make it look like it fires a bigger round, just to intimidate. And all different sorts of stuff.
So
like they have like noisemakers on the tank and shit. It's so weird.
They shoot paintball.
Yeah.
Paint it.
I will say, though, like, this is one of the youngest I've seen Donald Sutherland, because I've never seen MASH.
Fair.
That's
a good one.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't recommend MASH.
But...
next month, maybe.
Maybe.
We'll find out what Brad has for us.
Donald really looked like Kiefer Sutherland in this one, I felt.
Right, yeah. You could really see the relationship there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of funny because I've always like looked at Kiefer and been like, I don't see it.
Right.
It's like I can see it, but I don't see it. Like he's very different looking. But yeah, this movie is definitely where you're like,
I see.
Yep, you're the dad.
Yeah, when I found out that they were related, I was like, what? This guy's like got some kind of accent and this and he and Kiefer sounds totally American. What are you talking about?
Right.
And
Donald is like very fun and like humorous and like chatty, and then Kiefer is very quiet and mean.
Serious. Yeah.
24. Boom boom.
Boom boom. So yeah, let's move on from Donald Sutherland, I guess.
Yeah, the other big one was Carol O'Connor as General Colt.
Yeah, I felt like he was completely unnecessary but he's like a comic relief character.
But it's Archie, it's Archie Bunker, man. Yeah, that's what got the asses in the seats.
He's just being Archie Bunker, though. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the mean, well, not the mean, but he's the kind of wacky general. Yeah.
General Colt.
Yeah, who he finds out about Kelly's heist plans while listening in on the radios and is like, I'm going to go steal this money from these boys after they steal the money.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's pretty much all he does is he just has a bunch of stupid throwaway scenes until the very end when he finally goes to, be the final obstacle, I guess you'll call him.
Yeah.
For the heist.
Yeah. And there's like obviously a lot of obstacles they come across. But I feel like we can go ahead and wrap up the synopsis. The bank. They make it to the bank. They get the money with the help of the Nazi commander that's there, and he gets an equal share and goes into hiding and whatever.
So stupid.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is Kelly's big plan of stealing this money went from being like, just the troop of like 10 of us,
right,
to, well, shit, now there's like 30 people involved.
Yeah. It's still like a lot of money, especially for that time, but it does get sub $1 million at some point per person, per share.
Right.
So, you got, I think I'll go ahead and do my closing statement if that's cool. So I think, it's an all right movie. I felt like there were some anachronisms to the period. Like I'm pretty familiar with World War II stuff just because I like history, and there was some things that just didn't seem to fit. And
didn't vibe, man.
Yeah, they were negative waves. So, but I did feel like the acting troupe had great chemistry, and there was some interesting stuff in there, like the Barbara joke for Private Barbara. That was fun throughout. Gene Collins plays
Joe.
It's Barbara.
Joe, can you stop calling me Barbara? That's your name, isn't it? But it's Barbara. But my name's Barbara.
Right, and there are like a lot of zany characters in it, and I just I feel like it wasn't funny enough for me to watch it as a comedy, and so for that reason, it just felt wrong a little bit. But I still give it a full face, and for cinema value, Kelly's Heroes is kind of was at the time at least considered a great movie. So I think I think it's worth watching for that reason.
Well, it's like, I feel like back then it was of the idea that it's like it was too big to fail. It was like so many stars. You got Archie Bunker, Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, like all the Henry Dean Stanton is in it as well, which my brother reminded me. I forgot he was in it. But it's like you have all these big names, and it's just like there's no way it could be boring. You have all these big names in it, but no, in my opinion, it's a little boring. It's an hour and a half movie, 2 hours. I think it's way under 2 hours, but it's close to an hour and a half. And an hour of it just kind of feels like walking through nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, as you can tell, we didn't put that part in the synopsis.
Yeah. There's literally just a lot of walking and going places.
I did like the minefield scene. The minefield scene was the most, actual war-esque scene that happened in the movie.
Right.
They lose a couple of the guys because they stepped on mines, and then they very, very slowly traverse the minefields. And Don Rickles is the only one that they're making carry the minigun, and it's huge.
Yeah,
and he's like freaking out because he keeps on worrying he's gonna drop it on a mine or something.
Right. Yeah, he's the one who's like mostly affected by it, where everybody else is just like, yeah, this is just part of being in the field.
Right,
like, they're all scared, but they're not as freaked out like he is.
Because he is used to being in an office. He runs some sort of office that, where things like things that have been looted from the Germans have been taken to. Like there's a Nazi flag laying behind him. In his openings, actually, in most of his scenes until they go out into the field,
it's a little questionable.
Yeah, but they would have taken the flags. That's something that they would have done. So that part, at least, I thought.
But did we need to see it in the American cinema? No, not really.
No, not really. Yeah.
But it's fine as a movie. It's fine. I like the third act a lot. Like I remember the third act almost like. I could recreate that scene. I think, if I was given the money and told how to do it and everything, I'd be like, yeah, I could probably make this scene happen.
Gotcha.
Just because I watched it a lot, and it's the most fascinating scene in the movie because as it should be. If you're gonna have a heist movie, the heist should be the most fascinating part of it.
Yeah.
So I will credit it for that. It did the right job. The problem is, it was the most fascinating part because the rest of it's boring. So, a reminder, I'm grading on a 5-star scale now because I have a blog. If you want to go down to Green Traveler Reviews 4.wordpress.com or something like that, you'll find my blog. I have a blog there.
Yeah.
Because of that blog, I changed to a 5-star review. It's a long story. Anyways, out of 5 stars, 2.5.
Well, there you go. Right down the middle.
There you go.
Well.
Right down the middle.
Right down the middle there.
That just means it's okay.
We'll be talking about some Brits after the soda pop break. This is a terrible accent.
I will. Huh? It is? It is?
All right. We'll be right back.
Okay.
I love you.
Okay, I think we can be back now. If you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
I wasn't quite
We're
ready.
coming to you. We're coming to you with a movie that Alec Guinness is actually proud of.
Yeah.
Bridge on the River Kwai.
Yeah. You made me laugh at
I
that
assume he's
joke
proud of it.
last time.
I don't know if he actually is.
This.
Maybe he's not.
Oh, I guess we didn't watch this together, but you made that joke when I came over to watch Kelly's Heroes, and I also laughed. So, good joke. Good job.
Yeah, if you don't know Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan Kenobi, he didn't really care about Star Wars or care for Star Wars to start with, at least. Yeah. Maybe later on in life, I don't know. But
it's pretty funny because on IMDb, the headshot they used of him is definitely Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, and I know that's awful.
I know he did not like being Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, he didn't. And it's sad because it's his most famous role.
Yeah.
Everybody knows him as Obi-Wan. And, I don't know how many people have seen Bridge on the River Kwai, but you should. If you like Obi-Wan, you should.
He is super good in it. He really is.
Yeah.
Colonel Nicholson.
There is some controversy to his character, but we'll talk about that later.
But I also really like his character. Like, I just understand him, And he's very, very British.
Very British.
But anyhow, he's really not. When the movie begins, you're not sure that he's going to actually be the main character because you start off with Shears, William Holden's character. He is one of the few Americans in the show. And he is working at this prison camp. Another thing that I really liked about these two suggestions is that it was 2 different parts of the war. Like, you had the Western Front, and this was in the Pacific. This was the Pacific part of the war. I don't actually remember where Kwai is, but that's fine.
It is in, I think, Japan.
Well, I think it's
Thailand. It's in Thailand.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it was one of the places that Japan was trying to expand to.
They want to make a rail bridge connecting Bangkok and Rangoon.
That's right, and they
crab rangoons. Now I'm hungry.
Well, I want a Bangkok, so anyhow.
Hey!
So that's what the colonel there, Colonel Saito.
Mustard.
No.
Oh.
That was in. Wait, what was that?
Clue.
Yes. But,
Colonel Mustard,
there's a Detective Mustard in something that I just watched, and I was like, wait, we can watch that together. Okay.
Is he French?
No, he's an American dumbass cop, actually.
Dang it.
Sisu Hayakawa plays Colonel Saito, and he runs the camp, and we don't actually get to know him right away, but he he has been tasked with making this railroad bridge, and also to use the prisoners of war to make that happen. And
you find out too later on down the line that if he does not complete this bridge,
right,
he must kill himself.
Right, seppuku, yeah, which was still very popular at the time, and some people who throw out theories as to why Japan lost their side of the war. Part of it was because a lot of their officers killed themselves when they failed missions.
It doesn't help when your leaders are all disappearing.
Yes, yeah. But there also was a lot of rivalry inside each of their military complexes and between like the different departments and stuff. So there was a lot of reasons why their empire probably wasn't going to work out very well.
Yeah,
but
it's a very fascinating subject, honestly, to look into.
But
and I think you get a lot of that in this character in Saito.
Oh yeah,
because you see a lot of that through his conversations with Colonel Nicholson, played by Alec Guinness.
Yeah,
you get a lot of that the cultural weight, I guess.
Right.
You know, like what is expected of them in a war.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of comparison of what honor means between the two of them. The British ideals of it and the Japanese ideals of it. And Colonel Saito, the way he looks at it, Nicholson is without honor because he surrendered. Period.
Yeah. And the only way he can get his honor back is by fighting to his death, basically.
Yes.
And
you know what? He does kind of. And they grow respect through that. But anyhow, back to Shears. Shears is a grave digger for the camp and is constantly burying people because Saito is overworking them and they're getting sick by diseases that are
and Shears is even impersonated an officer so that he should have been out of that kind of work.
He should have, yes.
Because the Geneva Convention prevents officers from
rules
committing
of
work
war.
While they're
the most absurd concept that I've ever heard of, and Saito agrees. But Shears watches Nicholson march his brigade into the camp as proudly as they can. They're all in pretty much disrepair, half starved, some of them, and they're whistling. Yep. And anyhow, they come into the camp, and they immediately Saito's like, "You're all gonna work. You're all gonna work, including your officers alongside them." And Nicholson comes up with his pamphlet on the Geneva Convention, and he's like, "Officers are not supposed to do manual labor according to the Geneva Convention, and you're very welcome to study my copy of it." And Saito takes it and just throws it, and he's like, "Fuck you, you dishonorable shit."
Yeah.
He said, "Stop being lazy, you will work." And Sarah was sitting next to me, and she's like, "Yeah, I kind of agree. What the fuck?"
I agree too. His whole fight, Colonel Nicholson's whole fight at the beginning of this movie, he refuses. One, he wants better conditions for his men,
right?
Yada yada. But also, he's just he refuses to work because officers aren't supposed to work, and the Geneva, by the Geneva Convention, boogaboo,
right?
I shouldn't have to do this, and he keeps getting put into
the Geneva Convention was something that the Allies, and they might have had the Axis powers in there for World War I. I don't remember. But they, all made these agreements on these rules after World War I because it was such a dirty fight. So these rules are honestly only like 30 years old, if that.
Yeah. And like whether or not they're respected, obviously the Axis weren't respecting them.
Yeah, the fact that Nicholson expects this Far Eastern country to respect that when I'm pretty sure they were not involved in the meeting beforehand.
No, I don't think they were.
I'm going to do a quick Google on that, but I'm pretty sure Japan was not a part of the Geneva Convention.
I feel like most of Asia was left out of the first.
Yeah. So they did apparently sign in 1929, but they failed to ratify it. I'm not sure what exactly that means. But in 1942, they indicated that they would observe the rules. And that's obviously after World War II.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but the original convention...
It is fascinating, but...
The original convention was outlined in 1907. So I'm actually not sure...
Probably like after the Japanese-Russo War.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I'd like to actually do more research on that sometime. But anyhow, I just don't see how they expect this country that really has in the past kind of been left behind and kicked in the dirt to follow these rules that these Europeans made up.
Yeah, it's all very silly, and I agree with your wife completely because that was my thought process too. Is like I respect Nicholson's stand.
Yeah,
I respect his the strength and will that he puts into this. But I was also just like, you lazy fuck, just get out there and work with your men. Like, they're being forced to do this. Like.
Right.
You can fight for them, yes, but stop fighting for yourself to not have to work. It's just so sad.
It was weird. And, there were several other officers that worked under the colonel, but, it does seem like a strange law. It's an elitist law for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And, but the way that this movie pans out, eventually the colonel is forced to agree with Nicholson to not make the officers work because his people keep on sabotaging the work.
Yeah.
And in the meantime...
Nicholson's people.
Yeah, Nicholson's people, the British. In the meantime, Nicholson is being basically held in this oven. That's what they call it. It's,
isolation.
It's isolation box that's all metal, so it getting beat down by the Taiwanese sun, and his officers are in another box as well, and so after almost being starved and baked to death, Saito agrees to not work the officers so that the work could continue. And then what I was trying to get at is that at that point the officers start taking over the engineering of the bridge. They're like, and that kind of seemed like, okay, Nicholson, it's not that he's opposed to work. He's like, you just got to use your resources right, dude. And
he's very proud of British intelligence. And the way he's thinking about it is his thought process as he puts forth to his men is that this isn't a bridge built during war. This is that's all it is. It's a bridge built during war. 40, 50 years from now when the war is over with, he wanted people to be able to look back and be like, those British, they were so damn intelligent and hardworking. Yeah. They put up a bridge that's still lasting, still standing, still strong. British ingenuity. He wanted to tout British mentalism.
He wanted to find a victory for his men in defeat. And and he put his whole heart into the project. And it was really interesting. And, you know, there's a lot of things. Yeah. His engineers pointed out a lot of things that were wrong with the location alone of where they were putting it.
And, they forced them to move it down the river.
Yeah. and basically they teach them what's the term? It's not order of operations. That's mathematics, but assembly line. They basically teach them that how to work more effectively. Yeah. And you know, I don't know if that is kind of, I mean,
that's where the controversy comes in.
Yeah.
That's Nicholson's character. A lot of people thought it undermined the actual actions of British officers at that time. Because there's a lot of, you know, that bridge was built by forced manual labor by prisoners of war.
Right.
And those prisoners fought tooth and nail against it. They didn't give in and make a better bridge. They sabotaged it all the way through.
Right.
And there are some historians who thought this movie completely undermined that. Yeah. And you know, I can understand. You know, as historically, it is a little disappointing in that regard.
Yeah.
But I think as a character focus, I mean, and still a lot of the historical aspects are true. I thought the character focus is great. Like, as we've been saying, it's like, it's really fascinating to watch these two colonels butt heads.
Yeah, it was.
And then there's the American guy.
Who
kept getting boring every time they came back to him.
Yeah, toward the beginning of Nicholson's revolt, Shears escapes along with a couple of other people, and escape like they don't keep guards or anything because escaping from this small island is supposedly impossible.
Right, you're in the midst of a thick ass jungle.
Right. And and you know, there's probably dangerous creatures in the water outside the island, and
all as sorts well of as stuff. Diseases and dehydration and all that stuff.
But Sears manages to get out again by impersonating this time a Japanese officer, or at least army person, soldier. That's the word.
An army person.
So, he makes it back to somewhere. I'm not sure where he's at. It's
a British area.
He's a British. It's at a British-controlled hospital at the very least, with the help of some villagers that he comes across that are upset with the Japanese, invasion and whatever.
Right.
And there is these intelligence officers there. Is Major Warden one of them? Or I can't remember.
I know James Donald playing Major Clipton is one of them.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, yes, but the main one is Jack Hawkins. And he...
Yes. I just saw his photo.
He likes to blow stuff up. And he wants to blow up the bridge that they're building because, that's just kind of what he does as a spec ops kind of guy. And he's trying to recruit Shears into it because he knows the lay of the land better than anybody else. Shears is like, okay, but I'm not Shears. I just pretended.
I just escaped from there first of all.
Yeah. First of all, I don't want to go back. And he's like, I'm impersonating an officer. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, we knew that, and we don't care. But your people do.
Don't care in quotes.
Yes, yeah. But your people do. So you could either go back to them and face, court-martial in prison, or you could do this mission with us.
Like at first, give you the title of Major.
Yeah. And I like how Warden. He comes up with him, comes up to him really just trying to be really nice guy about it and trying to get him to join up. And also Shears almost gets killed by these other commandos practicing, and when they find out that he wasn't part of the exercise, they're like, "Oh, dear Lord me, I am so apologetic and whatnot. Here, give me your hand, get off the ground, sir." Whatever. And that cracked me up a lot.
Yeah, that was good.
Eventually he and a couple other people agree to take this mission. It's really hard to get there. There's a whole bunch of talk about the unexpected because nothing ever goes exactly as planned. And anyhow, they get there and they go to blow up the bridge, and somehow Alec Guinness's character, Colonel Nicholson, he sees all the wires and stuff in place, and he's like, "Colonel Saito, there's something wrong here." He wants to protect his bridge so badly. And
it's kind of sad.
He points out where these people who are his allies are, camping out, and gets them killed by doing so. And the Spec Ops group has to, speed up their attack, but there's this kid, I forget his name, that went on the trip with them. It might be Captain Reeves. I don't have a picture for him, but they keep on coming back to him having to use his knife to kill. And they're like,
oh yeah,
you never know until the moment comes. But he uses that to kill Saito, and that was, I thought that arc was interesting. But then Alec is like, "What have I done?" Because the kid gets killed, and he realizes that he fucked up an operation that was for the good of the cause that he was originally fighting for.
Exactly.
And then Warden shoots this frag shell or something.
A mortar.
A mortar, and I thought the effect, especially on my TV, was pretty good. His hat gets blown off, this being Alec Guinness's, and you can see where part of his scalp is missing. And he he stumbles towards the plunger, and as he falls and dies, he sets off the explosion, and the bridge is
almost gone. Accidentally too, his fall.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
It was a great performance by Alec Guinness for sure.
It's really good. And the explosion itself is good too. Yeah. You see the explosion, you see the train come and fall off. And probably and the train too. Yes. I'm sure they maybe they use
something.
A miniature or something.
It might have been something a scale perspective kind of thing. But they crash a train, and that's another thing. They wanted to do it at a specific time when the train was there to get maximum damage to the Japanese cause.
Exactly.
So I think we're ready for closing statements for it. Yeah.
I love it. It's fascinating. I don't usually like war movies. They're like spy movies. My brain just shuts off. I don't like but unlike spy it shuts off more because of the convolution. I feel like it's overly convoluted and I get lost in it. War movies, I just don't like war. I don't like the thought process of this thing sucks, I gotta kill you because that sucks. Jesus, just talk it out, man. For the love of God, why can't we just sing Kumbaya around a campfire? We're all gonna die anyways. We all have 70 years. Let's make it 70 good years for everybody and stop fucking attacking these people.
My gourd.
God, makes me mad. But no, this is a good war movie. I like it. I like Alec Guinness a lot. He's great in this role, and so out of 5 stars, I would give it 4.
Oh wow, yeah, I think that's pretty good. I give it 100% a full face. I really enjoyed it. It's not going to be one that I return to over and over again, but I will recommend it. I think that this is a really good picture of the genre, especially at the time period that is. It's really close to when the war ended, really. It's only been, 15 years. So it is fresh in these actors and the audience's mind at the time. So I think for that reason, it's very interesting. Though, I do think also at the time, the war elements were kind of muted because people did not want to see gore in film at the time.
Right.
So for that reason,
I will say it's like a sad kind of applause for it, but it's like they do have Japanese actors playing the Japanese roles.
They do.
There's no yellow face, to my knowledge.
And very shortly after, many of these people were probably interned in the camps. And by the way, I'm doing a show on that right now at the Musical Arts Center in Bloomington. I don't know if we'll get this up in time for you to go and see it because it's only got 2 showings. This Friday and Saturday night being being today, the 2nd, and tomorrow. So you probably won't be able to see it, but it's a brand new show, and hopefully it gets to go off and have a run somewhere else. But it has been very interesting, and I can't say that I've learned anything new from it, but if you don't know very much about the internment camps, I suggest checking this show out. Yeah. It's cool. It's good. Important. All right. Did we do the show?
Did you give it? Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, Bridge on the River Kwai wins.
I think so
thank
too.
you, Brad.
Yeah. Very good suggestions.
I know we crapped on Kelly's Heroes a lot, but we know you love it. We know why you love it. It's all these people from your childhood.
Please don't take away your patronage.
Yeah. He explained it to me really well, where it's just like he grew up with all these people as a kid,
right?
And then this movie came out, and it was like a big ado of like all these childhood celebrities coming together. It was a big moment for him. So it's just like I understand, I get it. Bridge on the River Kwai, great fucking selection. We're looking forward to seeing what you put forth next month
for sure. So, once again, we want to thank Brad for becoming a patron and for his suggestion. And that's going to be the end of the show.
Indeed. I am the Green Traveler from Gourish.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Safe travels and good night. Don't start World War III. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.